Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into the profound, yet often overlooked, wisdom of James Allen. Maybe not a name everyone immediately recognizes, but a philosophical writer and true pioneer of the self-help movement.
Absolutely. Hugely influential, even if quietly so for many people.
Right. You might know his most famous work as A Man Thinketh. It's compact, isn't it? But incredibly powerful. Shaped countless lives for over a century now.
It really has, and his core philosophy, the very essence of his teaching, it's beautifully captured in those lines he wrote.
Oh yeah, the poem, "Mind is the master power that molds and makes."
And man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills.
He thinks in secret, it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. Powerful stuff.
It really cuts to the heart of it.
So our mission today is to truly explore Allen's, revolutionary insights into how our thoughts quite literally sculpt our reality. We're going to unpack how by mastering our inner world, we can profoundly transform our outer lives.
Yeah, and achieve genuine prosperity, which for him wasn't just about money, right?
Exactly. It goes way beyond material wealth. And discovering a lasting, sort of unshakable peace. This deep dive, it's really about giving you, our listener, a shortcut to being well-informed on a topic that truly puts the power, the agency, back in your hands.
And what truly stands out about James Allen, I think, is that these profound insights weren't born from some ivory tower of abstract philosophy. They came from a life of intense personal struggle.
That context is so important.
It really is. He came from incredibly humble beginnings in Leicester, England. His father was a factory knitter, and his mother, remarkably for the time, couldn't even read or write.
Wow.
And then a deeply formative and tragic event struck him at just 15. His father went to America, hoping to find work, set things up for the family, only to die within 2 days of arriving, believed to be robbery and murder.
That's devastating at 15.
Yeah. And it meant young James had to leave school immediately, find work, huge responsibility, economic hardship, all thrust upon him.
So his writings, like As a Man Thinketh, they emerged directly from that crucible.
Directly. Works like from poverty to power, too. It came from this intense suffering and relentless self-inquiry. As he wrote himself, he looked within and found there both the cause and the self-made nature of that cause.
Okay.
I looked again and deeper and found the remedy. So, like you said, this isn't just theory. It's distilled wisdom forged in the fires of a life lived. It forced him to confront adversity and seek answers from within.
That context is absolutely crucial, isn't it? It just grounds his philosophy immediately in lived experience, makes it far more relatable than, mere academic discourse.
Exactly. It lends it authenticity.
It's what makes his ideas so compelling. So let's dive into his first major profound insight, the inner world, and how thought acts as the architect of your entire reality.
Yeah, this is foundational for Allen.
Allen's central, and I would argue truly revolutionary concept, especially for his time, is wrapped up in this idea. What you are, so is your world. Everything in the universe is resolved into your own inward experience. Now that profoundly challenges the common belief we all tend to hold that our external circumstances dictate our happiness, our misfortunes, our successes.
Right. We usually think it's the other way around.
Totally. And he uses a fantastic, simple analogy with financial loss that really brings it to life. He explains that the loss of money was a curse to the one, because he clothed the event with dark and dreary thoughts.
Okay.
It was a blessing to the other because he threw around it thoughts of strength, of hope, and renewed endeavor. Think about that. It's not the event of losing money itself that holds the power.
It's the reaction, the thought about the event.
Precisely. Our mental framing of it ultimately determines its impact. It's a powerful invitation to shift our focus from what happens to us to what happens within us in response.
And that's where the brilliance of Allen's insight really crystallizes. If we zoom out for a moment and look at the bigger picture, Allen drives this point home by saying that if external circumstances genuinely had the power to bless or harm, they would bless and harm all men alike.
That's a great point. But they don't.
Exactly. We know that's not true. The fact that the same circumstances affect different people in vastly different ways proves, for Allen, the supreme power of the mind.
Okay. So the practical implication of this is huge.
Immense. He tells us, when you begin to realize this, you will begin to control your thoughts, to regulate and discipline your mind, and to rebuild the inward temple of your soul.
Rebuild the inward temple. I like that.
It's not just poetic, it's a call to action. He urges us to eliminate useless and superfluous material, those draining negative thought patterns.
Right.
And consciously incorporate thoughts alone of joy and serenity, of strength and life, of compassion and love, of beauty and immortality.
Like mental gardening almost.
Exactly. Weeding out the bad, planting the good. He illustrates this beautifully with contrasting images of perception. Take a mud puddle.
Okay, a mud puddle.
To the naturalist, his mind stored with the knowledge of natural facts saw beauty, harmony, and hidden glory, even there. But a mind unenlightened upon those things saw only an offensive mud puddle.
Same puddle, different perception.
Totally different experience, based entirely on the mind's interpretation. It highlights the mind's active role in shaping what we perceive as reality. It's not just what's out there, it's what you bring to it, how you choose to see it.
Which really aligns with a lot of modern cognitive psychology, doesn't it? Our interpretations matter more than the events sometimes.
Absolutely. Alan was way ahead of his time in many respects.
And what's particularly compelling is how Alan extends this idea, thought as architect, into our relationships and the very people we attract.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
He asserts that by the law of cause and effect, they attract to themselves that which they send forth. He takes that old saying, birds of a feather flock together, and gives it a much deeper significance.
He says it's true in the thought world as in the world of matter, each clings to its kind.
Think about that in your own life, when you've been in a really negative headspace, haven't you noticed you tend to attract more negativity or feel surrounded by it?
Definitely. And the opposite is true too, radiate positivity, and often that comes back.
Exactly. Alan then poses these profound questions for you, the listener, almost like a personal inventory check. Do you wish for kindness? Be kind. Do you ask for truth? Be true.
What you give of yourself, you find. Your world is a reflex of you. It's a direct mirror.
Yeah. Reflecting back the internal state you're projecting, it's incredibly powerful and sometimes a bit uncomfortable, frankly.
It puts the responsibility squarely back on us, which leads to the next question, doesn't it? How does this apply to our character, our destiny?
Right. If thought is the cause, how does that shape who we become?
Alan is unflinching here. Man is made or unmade by himself.
Okay.
In the armory of thought, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace.
Wow. Made or unmade by himself? That's empowering, but also a heavy responsibility.
Totally. It places full, total responsibility on the individual. No external scapegoats. Alan emphasizes that life is justly ordered and that all his past experiences, good and bad, were the equitable outworking of his evolving yet unevolved self.
So what does that mean for blame? Does it just disappear?
It fundamentally eradicates the idea of being a victim of external forces or others' actions. Alan makes it strikingly clear. No wrong can reach him but by his own evil deeds.
Okay, now that could sound harsh to some people. Is he saying if you suffered, you always directly deserved it, like punishment?
That's a common reaction, but no, not exactly like punishment. Alan isn't about shaming. He's operating from a deeper principle. That everything we experience, even the tough stuff, is a direct energetic result of our internal state, our dominant thoughts, our evolving consciousness.
So it's more about cause and effect on an energetic level.
Yes. It's a call to profound self-responsibility. Look inward for the root cause, rather than constantly pointing outward. It's about empowering you to change your inner state, to change your outer reality. Not about blame in the conventional sense.
That's the challenging perspective. But ultimately liberating, maybe, because it means we're never truly just at the mercy of fate.
Exactly. You hold the reins.
And that leads us perfectly into the next crucial aspect of Alan's wisdom. Transforming adversity, moving from suffering to strength. If our thoughts are the architects, then how do we deal with suffering, with what Alan calls evil?
Right, because suffering is real. Alan doesn't deny that.
No, but he posits that evil isn't some external, unlimited power. He calls it a passing phase of human experience, a self-created shadow.
A shadow, interesting.
Yeah, and he drives it home by stating, quite directly, it is an experience in your own heart. The crucial and maybe counterintuitive insight here is that evil or suffering serves as a teacher, a catalyst for growth.
Okay. How does he illustrate that?
He uses this powerful, almost heartbreaking anecdote about a child and a candle. You know the one.
Remind me.
I knew a child who every night cried to be allowed to play with a candle. And one night, the child took hold of the candle. The inevitable result followed.
Yes. Gets burned.
Right. And the child never wished to play with the candle again. By that one act, The child learned perfectly the lesson of obedience, understanding that fire burns.
So the pain was the teacher.
Exactly. Alan says this incident is a complete illustration of the nature, meaning, and ultimate result of all sin and evil. Suffering, while painful, is a necessary lesson, feedback guiding us toward wisdom. It's not punishment, it's instruction.
And what's truly illuminating here is Alan's radical acceptance of these challenges as inherently beneficial. He insists that all your pains, sorrows, and misfortunes have come to you by a process of undeviating and absolutely perfect law.
A perfect law.
Yes, have come to you because you deserve and require them. Now, that phrase, deserve and require them, might initially make us bristle. Sounds like punishment again.
It does a bit, yeah.
But for Alan, it's not about punishment. It's about spiritual necessity. The universe providing precisely what you need for your growth, your evolution.
Okay, so require them for growth, not deserve them as a penalty.
Exactly. This perspective transforms difficulties from arbitrary punishments into profound opportunities. He states that by first enduring and then understanding them, you may be made stronger, wiser, nobler. Extract the lesson from the pain.
Find the wisdom in the wound.
Beautifully put. And he uses that lovely metaphor. As in the rankest soil, the most beautiful flowers are grown, so in the dark soil of poverty, the choicest flowers of humanity have developed and bloomed.
So adversity is fertile ground.
Precisely. The conditions we might see as undesirable are where resilience, compassion, wisdom, all the good stuff can really manifest and blossom. Challenges aren't roadblocks, they're catalysts for our deepest development.
That's a truly profound reframing, turning setbacks into stepping stones. And it leads us directly to the specific mental states that, according to Alan, perpetuate suffering.
Right, what keeps us stuck.
He singles out fear and worry as particularly sinful. And again, sinful here isn't necessarily religious transgression.
It's more like going against the grain of reality.
Exactly. He sees fear and worry as denying eternal justice, the omnipotent good, the boundless love. For Alan, this omnipotent good was this inherent, benevolent, universal principle. To fear and worry is to deny that fundamental goodness.
Okay, I see.
These negative states, he explains, are annulling and disintegrating of the positive thought forces that would otherwise bring good results, like static on a clear signal.
Blocks the good stuff coming through.
Right. But he doesn't just diagnose it, he gives practical advice. Upon the instant that you find your mind reverting to the lower plane of worry, bring it back again and reestablish it on the plane of peace and strength.
It's an active, conscious redirection.
Yes. Very much like modern mindfulness or CBT techniques. Recognize the thought, then consciously choose to disengage and recenter. He was really on to something there.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Alan doesn't just keep this analysis at the individual level. He extends it to society.
How so?
He asserts that national events are simply the working out of the psychic forces of the nation. Wars, plagues, and famines are the meeting and clashing of wrongly directed thought forces.
Wow, that's a big claim. Collective consciousness manifesting.
Sort of, yeah. It taps into the idea that shared beliefs, attitudes, emotions on a large scale do manifest as societal trends and events. Think about the collective fear or division we see today. It has real-world consequences.
Our individual minds contribute to that collective tie.
Precisely. And this also applies directly to personal relationships. He who clings to self is his own enemy and is surrounded by enemies. Selfishness, for Alan, is the root cause of conflict, internal and external.
He uses that analogy about the birds and food, right?
Yes. When there's plenty, they fight. When they're starving, they huddle together amicably.
Suggesting that selfishness, then, is the root cause of competition, conflict, suffering.
Exactly. Which leads to a crucial insight. This tree cannot be destroyed by merely lopping off its branches. To do this effectively, the root must be destroyed.
So surface-level fixes like just changing laws aren't enough.
Not according to Alan. Legislation might prune the branches, but the roots are all the time being fostered and encouraged in the human heart. True change starts within each individual by tackling that root of selfishness.
So, given all of this, what does this mean for what we usually call prosperity and happiness? This seems like a good place to shift focus.
Yeah, let's get into his pillars of prosperity, because he completely redefines it.
He really does. He insists they aren't outward possessions, things you acquire, but fundamentally internal states. He says the heart that is not possessed of these qualities cannot know prosperity.
For prosperity, like happiness, is not an outward possession, but an inward realization. It's about your state of being.
And he gives that vivid contrast. The greedy man may become a millionaire, but he will always be wretched, because someone else always has more.
Right, perpetually feeling lack.
Whereas the upright, the open-handed and loving, will realize a full and rich prosperity, even though their outward possessions may be small.
It's a different kind of richness.
Totally. So the call to action for you, the listener, is profound. It is therefore unwise to aim directly at prosperity, but rather aim at self-perfection. Make useful and unselfish service the object of your life. Build the inner character first.
And what's fascinating is that Alan doesn't just leave it there, vaguely saying, be good. He gives us a blueprint. 8 adamantine pillars of sterling character and moral worth.
The pillars, let's hear them.
Okay. Energy, economy, integrity, system, sympathy, sincerity, impartiality, and self-reliance. These are the foundations.
Right. Let's unpack a few key ones. They sound solid.
They really are. First, energy. Not just physical energy, though that's part of it. He talks about concentrated energy.
Focused energy.
Yes, directed towards one great purpose. He says, power is concentrated energy. Wisdom is that energy adapted to beneficent ends. Think about how much energy we scatter daily.
Oh, definitely. Distractions, worry, pointless arguments.
Right. Alan contrasts this with wasting energy on swinish ease and gluttonous indulgence, or frivolous pleasures and empty talk. Strong language, maybe.
If Victorian.
Yeah, but his point is about squandering our most valuable resource, attention. Focus on things that don't serve our higher purpose. True energy is about purposeful direction, being intentional with your life force.
Okay, makes sense. What about economy? Is that just about money?
Far beyond money. He talks about a spiritual economist, someone mindful of their internal resources, emotions, thoughts, principles.
Spiritual economy. Interesting.
This person transmutes passions into intelligence, intelligence into principles, principles into wisdom. It includes moderation in all things eating, clothing, recreation, sleep. He notes, the best workers and most successful men are they who are most moderate.
Moderation breeds success.
In his view, yes. Overindulgence saps vitality. He mentions things like luxury in clothing or making recreation the main goal. These court poverty and monotony. The true economist uses only necessary words and does only necessary actions, minimizing waste.
Mindful expenditure of your whole being. Okay, next.
Integrity. He calls this the backbone of human society and the source of fearlessness. The honest man is rid of all this burden of fear.
Because there's nothing to hide.
Exactly. Integrity leads to purposefulness, strong achievements. He declares moral force is the greatest power. An integrated person has clear aims. Failure isn't final because their character is sound. Pure and perfect integrity is proof against all attack.
It's about internal consistency, thoughts, words, actions aligned.
Precisely. Then there's system, the principle of order by which confusion is rendered impossible. Any lasting achievement needs system.
Like that businessman example.
Yeah, who could leave his huge business for months because everything was perfectly organized? It's not rigid bureaucracy, but intelligent habits and structures that free up mental energy. Accuracy, he says, is linked to self-discipline. System develops comprehensiveness of mind.
Designing your life for clarity, not chaos. Got it.
Then sympathy. This leads us to the hearts of all men, letting us feel their pain, share their joy. It's true understanding, not just pity.
And he pushes back against the idea that it hinders success.
Strongly. Sympathy can never hinder success. It is selfishness that blights and destroys. He gives that example of the successful, kind businessman whose great heart won him fast friends, genuine connection, empathy. These are true accelerants.
In a world often rewarding ruthlessness, that's a powerful reminder. Okay.
One more. Let's do sincerity. He defines it as naturalness, simple being without fake or foreign. Without it, a man's a hollow mask, his work lifeless. He even warns against unconscious insincerities like praying for purity, then gossiping.
Being true to yourself and others.
Yes. Sincerity leads to simplicity, attractiveness, penetration, power. Authenticity isn't just nice, it's fundamental for real power and influence.
That's a truly comprehensive and powerful framework, not just for success, but for a meaningful life. And what Alan makes clear, I think, is that these pillars aren't separate checkboxes.
No, they're deeply interconnected. They reinforce each other.
Right. You can't have true economy without integrity. Sincerity underpins sympathy.
Yeah.
They're all, at their core, unselfish, aren't they?
Absolutely. It's about building an inner character that naturally expresses itself in beneficial ways, rather than just chasing external results.
It shifts the whole focus from what you get to who you become.
Yes. And this emphasis on internal transformation leads us perfectly into the next crucial section, the path of practice, cultivating this inner garden.
Because Alan wasn't just a thinker, he was about doing.
Absolutely. He asserts that the gospel of Jesus is a gospel of living and doing. He famously states, practice ever precedes knowledge.
You have to do it to know it.
Exactly. He uses those relatable examples. The mechanic learns with a tool first, then the principles. The child learns obedience before understanding ethics.
Learn by doing.
And this applies even more rigorously to spiritual growth. Alan insists, virtue can only be known by doing, and the knowledge of truth can only be arrived at by perfecting oneself in the practice of virtue.
So reading books, listening to us, it's not enough.
It's a start. But until you apply it, it remains just theory. Intellectual understanding isn't the same as embodied wisdom.
What's truly insightful here is how Alan breaks down the practical steps of self-purification. He makes this huge task feel, well, more manageable.
He gets very specific.
Yeah, he details this process of self-examination, starting with speech, identifying common vices like slander, gossip, and idle conversation, abusive and unkind speech.
Things we all probably do sometimes without thinking.
Right, and critical, captious, or fault-finding speech. These, he notes, arise primarily in the mind. Wrong conditions of the heart worked out in the body and the tongue, always back to the internal origin.
Thought creates the word, the action.
Exactly. Then he extends this discipline to things like the unselfish performance of duty and unlimited forgiveness. It's about minute-by-minute vigilance.
It sounds demanding.
It is. But he paints this beautiful picture of burden dropping with the anecdote of the woman supporting a large family on hardly any money.
Oh, the cheerful woman.
Yes, performs all her duties, helps neighbors, yet despite trying circumstances, she's cheerful from morning to night and never complains. Why? Because she is unselfish.
She doesn't dwell on what she lacks.
Precisely. Not living in vain desires for herself, she is relieved of all burdens and is happy. It shows how abandoning selfish desires, embracing service and contentment, is the key to inner peace, regardless of external hardship, internal liberation.
So the natural next question is, how do we face the inevitable difficulties and temptations on this path? Because they will come up.
For sure. Alan views difficulties not as bad omens, but as prophetic of good, leading to strength and intelligence. His advice, don't run, don't complain, meet them calmly and bravely.
See them as growth opportunities.
Exactly. And he provides a crucial insight about temptation that really shifts perspective.
Yeah.
All temptation comes from within.
A man is tempted because of the evil that is within him. The external object, he says, is merely the occasion of the temptation, never the cause.
The cause is the inner desire. The chocolate cake is just cake until you desire it.
Right. The harsh comment is just words until your pride gets pricked.
So the remedy is always internal, purifying those desires, managing reactions.
Exactly. It puts you back in control of your responses.
He also emphasizes something often overlooked today: the crucial role of solitude and silence.
Ah, yes. Getting quiet.
He states, in solitude a man gathers strength, knowledge, and wisdom. Why? Because the voice of the Spirit is not heard in the hubbub of the world.
Which is so countercultural now, isn't it? We seek constant stimulation.
Totally. Always on, always connected. Alan advocates for spending some portion of each day in sacred and purposeful solitude. Not being a hermit, but creating intentional space.
Finding a balance between engagement and withdrawal.
Yes. Returning to his abiding home in the silence. This practice is essential for deep self-knowledge, hearing your inner wisdom, and sustained growth. It's where you process, reflect, and consciously steer your thoughts.
Ultimately, this path of practice, of self-purification, leads to what Alan calls the glorious conquest.
Conquest of what?
Conquest of self. He asserts, truth can only be apprehended by the conquest of self. The only real enemies are his own passions and delusions. Until you realize this and start cleansing your heart, you haven't found the path to peace.
It sounds intense. He calls it a self-crucifixion at one point.
Which sounds extreme, but he doesn't mean literal suffering. It's the disciplined, sometimes uncomfortable process of letting go of egoic attachments, petty desires, harmful thoughts, limiting beliefs.
So less self-punishment, more radical self-purification.
Exactly. Stripping away what doesn't serve your higher self. He says wrong thoughts are cast from the mind immediately, it appears. This rigorous inner work, though tough, leads to conscious strength and holy joy.
This inner conquest leads to perfect peace and a new vision of the universe, where even evil is seen to be rooted in ignorance, not malice.
A profound shift in perspective, indeed.
So What does this all mean for the ultimate state, the culmination of this self-mastery? As we step into the final section, the awakened being, unveiling your divine self, Alan introduces this concept of the immortal man and unity with the infinite.
Yeah, this is where it gets really profound.
He uses that beautiful analogy: as the smallest drop of water detached from the ocean contains all the qualities of the ocean, so man contains within him its likeness.
We contain the whole ocean within us.
Essentially, yes. The ultimate goal, he explains, is to re-become one with the infinite. And how is that achieved? Through unqualified surrender of the personality, separateness, and selfishness.
Letting go of the small self.
Right. Shedding the illusion of the isolated ego, the part that's always striving, comparing, fearing to realize a deeper universal identity. Letting go of what you think you are to discover who you truly are.
And what's fascinating here is how Alan describes the simplicity of truth itself.
Simple. After all this work.
Well, the path involves work, but the truth itself is simple. Truth is very simple. It says, give up self, come unto me, away from all that defiles, and I will give you rest.
Give up self, come unto me, rest.
He explains it doesn't require complex intellectual learning. It requires an unselfish heart that enters into and partakes of its shining radiance. The surrender of self, letting go of ego, that's the fundamental key.
Okay.
He states powerfully, holiness alone is undying peace. Self-control leads to it, and the ever-increasing light of wisdom guides the pilgrim on his way. The journey culminates in profound, lasting peace, independent of circumstances.
And here's where it gets really interesting for your everyday life. This state culminates in what Alan calls abiding joy.
Not just fleeting happiness, but abiding joy.
Exactly. He tells us joy is where there is no sin, meaning where there's no self-centeredness. He says, sorrow is false, and it cannot live. Joy is true, and it cannot die. It's an inherent state, not dependent on external pleasures.
So how do we access it?
The direct application is clear. Every man is truly happy insofar as he is unselfish. He is miserable insofar as he is selfish. He urges us, seek the highest good, and as you find it, as you practice it and realize it, you will taste the deepest, sweetest joy.
It's a result of the practice.
Yes. He concludes with that beautiful image. Inside the gateway of unselfishness lies the Elysium of abiding joy, and whosoever will may enter in. It's an open invitation, a promise of contentment from within.
In connecting this to the bigger picture, the ultimate transformation Alan describes is that the man victorious over self is the true seer.
Seer, like seeing the future.
No, not psychic stuff. He clarifies it's about seeing life as it is, in its particular details and its divine principles. This awakened being, having shaken off the painful dreams of self, possesses a new vision which beholds a new and glorified universe.
Like cleaning the lens of perception.
Exactly. The outcome is profound. He is sorrowless because he is selfless. He is serene because he knows that whatever he receives, it is good, and whatever is taken from him, that also is good.
Wow. Total acceptance.
Total acceptance filled with infinite tenderness and abounding compassion. Their power is pure, peaceful, heavenly. They understand that all men are essentially divine, even if unaware, and that all evil is seen to be rooted in ignorance.
Which leads to no condemnation, just understanding.
Universal love and acceptance, profound inner liberation and compassion.
So to bring it all back to you, our listener, James Allen's timeless wisdom, forged in his own life, reveals this profound truth. Your thoughts are the ultimate determinant of your experience.
It all starts within.
Right. True freedom, enduring prosperity, abiding happiness, they aren't found out there in acquisition or avoidance. They come from internal transformation.
Sort of self-mastery and unselfish action.
It's an empowering philosophy, maybe challenging too, but it puts you firmly in the driver's seat. You truly are, as the famous poem goes, the master of your fate, the captain of your soul.
Which raises an important question for reflection as you go about your day. If evil is the thought that thinks it, good the thought that makes it so, then consider this.
Yeah.
What long-held truths or even seemingly good intentions might actually be those self-created shadows holding you back? What internal rubbish and clutter, old fears, nagging worries, subtle selfish desires are you truly ready to part with?
To reveal that abundance and peace Alan talks about.
Exactly. Maybe just identify one small area where you can apply Alan's principle of self-control, unselfishness starting today. Just one intentional step. It can begin to shift everything.
A powerful thought to leave with. Until next time, keep diving deep into the wisdom that truly informs and transforms you.